exceptional offers.
All right. So we're going to look at some of the challenges of securing information tonight in Chapter 1. Remember, 2 weeks from Tuesday, there's no class because campus is closed, but we will have a class that Thursday, which is 2 weeks from tonight. And that Tuesday that we won't be here, which is a week from this coming Tuesday, week 3, I'm going to go ahead and do the discussion as normal, but I'll do it at the house, email you guys, and so you'll have it. Now, the one, as I mentioned Tuesday, older podcasts that are out there, I leave in there until I replace it. Like the one Tuesday, I replaced with the one Tuesday. It's out there already. The other thing I mentioned, I want to highlight is next Tuesday we do have our first tech scope. We're going to be interviewing Stephanie Washer, our division chair, on some of the things we're doing here in our division. It's only for 15 minutes from 3:30 to 3:45 using Periscope, so I recommend you to click on the link inside of our class, 3:30 to 3:45 next Tuesday. Yep. And so some of you are already here on campus, and you can just fire up your phone and look at it. I'll actually be in her office doing it, so we'll see how that works. We'll have fun with that. We're also going to define information security, look at why it's important to have this field, and different types of attackers that are common. Some of these attacks you've heard of, I'm guessing, coming into the class. You've actually been a victim of some of these attacks, or some of your businesses might have been. And we'll look at some of the steps of a basic attack. There's 5 defenses we can look at. And then lastly, we'll end on the Security Plus certification, which Stephanie's going to touch base on next Tuesday in the Periscope session. We have CompTIA certified testing center now, and so we can test for any certification you want. And one of them is a CompTIA Security Plus certification. And so, if no other reason to tune in next Tuesday, be tuned in for that to find out how to get involved. You have to sign a piece of paper, sign your life away, but no, you just have to sign a piece of paper saying to get the test here on campus at a discounted, sometimes free cost, they have to follow you for 5 years in your job history, where you go and stuff like that, just to kind of, data. So yes, this test helped you in your career or helped you get a job or whatever the case may be. I think that's the only thing you've got to do. So there's no simple solution when it comes to securing networks. I always tell students on the first week of class and throughout the semester, you can't secure something 100% in a network unless you literally unplug everything and burn it and crush it. Then maybe, yeah. But maybe even then they can maybe retrieve some data possibly. So nothing's 100% except death and taxes when it comes to, sorry about that, instead of, nothing comes easy when it comes to securing a network, and there's nothing 100%. So it can be seen in different types of attacks that are used today. And a lot of the attacks, believe it or not, are just kind of morphed attacks of something that started way back when, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever. They're rehashed, rewritten a little bit maybe, or just renamed and sent out. So let's look at types of attacks today. Typical attack, warnings. Malicious program is one. It was introduced sometime at a point of a manufacturing process of a popular digital photo frame. Nigerian email scam is another one that was popular for a while, where they ask you for $5 million, and I live in Nigeria, and could you please forward it to me? Booby trap web pages are growing increasing rate. New worms disabling Microsoft Windows updates and updating a task manager. And then Apple even having the most updates when it comes to security flaws in its OS in the last few years. And so these are just signs of, warning signs that things are increasing as far as security attacks go. Anti-phishing work group, APWG, reports the number of unique phishing sites continues to increase. And a fish site, if you don't know what it is, I'll tell you, it's basically a website guised as a real site. Like an example that you might have heard of in the past was PayPal. Had a number of attacks or fish sites that they would send a person a link, say click on this link to reset your password, and it would send it to a link, but maybe instead of being PayPal.com, it might be PayPal.info or something like that. And the person didn't, they didn't look at the URL, wouldn't note it, and maybe it looks like just like PayPal and everything, but it ends on a .info instead of .com. And believe it or not, a lot of users don't pay attention to that. And so companies, you should, and as an IT person, you should tell people you work with and your friends and family, if you ever get a link from any company, saying they're a company anyway, wanting you to reset any password on a web page, that's a red flag. That is a red flag. And be real careful if you just watch, ways you can make sure it's not from the company, is contact them. Contact them from their real number on their webpage. Did you email me? It's the first step. But what I generally do is I just tell people you can hover over the link. If something looks fishy about the link, which it always does, then don't go any further. Just delete it, delete the email, done. Because here one recently just came out. It was a Google Drive hack, fish hack. It would send people an email, this hack would, to reset their Google, to download a whole bunch of files from somebody you know. So you email me, say, hey Chuck, I've got these documents, but it's secure documents from Google. You need to log in to see them. I'm like, okay. And the subject line's documents. I log in. It goes to a database. The page looks just like Google Docs, but instead of going to Google Docs, my credentials are just downloaded to this hacker's database. And now they can get into your Google account, and if you know Google account, you can tie into the Google account your credit card information, you can tie in your credit card information, your apps, your bank account information, all your notes that might have passwords to other accounts. And so a whole plethora of things can unfold with just a Google access. And so I recently sent folks I know here in Rockford an email saying this one's going around again, to let people know. Do not ever click on a link from somebody saying that they have a whole bunch of documents and they want you to click on them, but you have to put in Google security first, your authentication first. So if you ever see it, it is coming around, by the way. The subject line is documents, and it's a static text, but it has that person's name from that person's name and their email from their email. Because what it does also is when you do, if you did follow through and log in, it not only gets your password, and they can do whatever with your password, it also looks at your contacts and sends that very same email to all your contacts with that very same contact. And again, that's a big thing that's going around. But it's happened through PayPal recently, in the last few years. Banks have had it happen to them. Trying to think of eBay, Sears, couple techie websites of ordering online. Newegg.com had it happen to them from a few customers. So it's not just one or two type of companies. It's just a plethora of widespread different types. So phishing websites is increasing. Researchers at University of Maryland took a couple computers with weak passwords in them, put them on the internet, just let them sit there for 24 hours to see what would happen. They were hit by an intrusion attempt every 39 seconds. And one of the things I always tell students at this point is there's a free program you can download called Zone Alarm that you might already have some antivirus or something on your machine or whatever. The Zone Alarm, get the free edition. And what's nice about when you install Zone Alarm, when you're setting it up, it'll show you what's trying to come through continually. And you have to kind of train it, right? Do you have it?
I've had it for years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah, and some people are annoyed by it because you literally have to, it takes a while to train it to all the stuff. But it's amazing all the stuff coming at you all the time. And I tell students just to do it for that, to see all the stuff trying to come in your computer, trying to hit your computer.
I asked somebody, because at the time, it was 10 years ago, I was getting 2 or 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah.
So somebody that I work with, that's more computer savvy,
Sure.
said, that's a lot, Tim. In other words, I shouldn't have been getting that many.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So even, you shouldn't get that many.
No, well, when you first set it up, you will on Zone Alarm. When the very first time you set it up, if you don't have anything else in your system, you're going to get it. Yeah, and all it's doing is training. In fact, there's a section in Zone Alarm that you can, it's for view-only purposes, that allows you to see all the stuff coming in. You can just kind of view it and look at it. It kind of blows your mind because you're like, I'm not even doing anything. And you're not on a website, you're not doing anything, you're just sitting there like these guys from Maryland did. And look at it, every 39 seconds on average, something was trying to come in to ping your computer, to install something, a lot of times just listening. It's a listening is what it's called. Listening on your computer to see if it's doing anything.
Can that be disabled remotely, or does somebody have to come in and actually disable it on yours?
You mean what be disabled remotely?
The zone alarm, that you can you disable that remotely, or does somebody have to be on your machine?
Somebody would have to be on your machine to manipulate, yeah, for sure, remote into it. And they could do that. They could remote into it to do it. And so, but, if you have antivirus on your computer, if you've got it updated with the latest updates, if you've got Windows Firewall, Windows OS Firewall turned on, you should be good to go. And just don't visit websites you shouldn't visit, which you all know what those are. Peer-to-peer sites you don't want to visit, porn sites you don't want to visit. All these are prone for junk to hit your computer and to put not only other malware on your machine, but other things that can cause damage. So, but Zone Alarm, play with it just to look at it, see what traffic's coming through, and then you can delete it. Now, security stats bear witness to continual success of attacks. TJX company reported 45 million credit cards lost and debit card numbers stolen by attackers over an 18-month period from 2005 to 2007. The total cost of data breach in 2007 was $197 per record compromised. And the federal government was given recently a overall grade of C- on their computer systems. And this screen here basically just goes over some of the number of people exposed, like the Massachusetts Division of Professional Licensure. Social Security numbers of licensed professionals were inadvertently released. The information was erroneously mailed to the agencies that submitted a public records request for only names and numbers, but they also gave them Social Security numbers. And that was publicly released, 450,000. Admin staff out of Houston, current and former employees' personal data might have been compromised because of a stolen laptop containing data including name, addresses, Social Security numbers for employees. And then Davidson County, the last one here, Election Commission, someone broke into the several county offices, stole a laptop, contained several Social Security numbers and other personal information, and every registered voter in Davidson County, Tennessee, 337,000. So, one of the difficulties of defending some of these attacks are the speed that they're coming in, the rapid speed of coming in. They're not getting slower, they're exponentially getting faster. The tools that are used, you'll learn this semester, are getting more advanced, and the technical skills to use them are decreased to use them. You don't need as many technical skills to use some of these tools. Those are called script kiddies, which we'll learn about what that is this semester, which anybody and their brother can download and do any malicious activity they want to on anybody's machine if they know the IP address, and that's about all they need to know. Attackers can detect vulnerabilities more quickly, and attackers, by the way, attackers and hackers have the greatest antivirus on their machines. They keep everything updated, everything's clean, they do not go to sites they shouldn't go to, they don't do things they shouldn't do. And it's because a lot of people have this thought about hackers being like, dirty, grimy people that, their computers must be all junked up with stuff. Nope. They're pristine clean. And they keep it that way because a couple reasons. Not only is it more apt for them to be traced back if they are going to sites they shouldn't go to or aren't keeping their computers updated with the most recent DAT file from network security tools that they have. But they also know that their fingerprints could be easily caught, digital fingerprints could be easily caught if they kind of don't watch where they go. Delays are another reason why hacks happen. Companies, it was McAfee a few years back. I was at a conference, and a McAfee representative was giving a talk on the newest version of McAfee Suite that was out. And it was after the session, and he was talking to a group of us after the session and said they did an assessment, an audit on their building that he's in, and this was McAfee. They were only at 60% compliance with the newest updates of McAfee in the McAfee building. At the time when he was sharing that information, that even McAfee itself, had a bad grade. And you're like, how could that happen? And we'll talk why that happens in IT, why that happens in your place of business, why that happens in place of business I've worked at. A lot of it has to do with workforce and the lack of workforce. Not really as much as they're lazy as they don't have enough time sometimes, and things go through the cracks. So delays and patches are important. Should you patch everything that comes in, every update that comes in? No. And I'll tell you why this semester as we go along, why I don't believe that, why I don't do that, why I don't teach that. Just because an update's out there doesn't mean you need it. In fact, the majority of updates that Microsoft pushes out are for companies, big companies like IBM, that needed a certain patch for a certain hardware they had, and they rolled it out for IBM, and then it eventually gets rolled up into an update. And so you don't need it, I don't need it. And so some updates on, like particularly servers, when you do an update, will restart the server and then can stop services to where they don't stop, it can start again. And so that's not a good thing. And so we'll talk about ways I have used for years, and I will teach to you how to use techniques of updates, ways to roll them out properly and securely to where you don't have downtime afterwards. Delays and patches are big, though, why hackers can still do the same hacks they were doing 2 years ago because it's not been patched. Most attacks are now distributed attacks instead of coming from one source. They're on botnets, and you'll learn what that term is this semester, which is basically just a short, in a nutshell definition, is a botnet is multiple apps or multiple files being pulled from millions of computers. Not just one, but millions. User confusion. People are confused. Do I click on it? Don't click on it. Do I go here? Don't go there. Should I reply? Should I don't reply? Should I download? Should I not download? I mean, all these questions people have in their head, and they don't come to IT because they don't want to feel stupid. And maybe in the past, IT has been, been given a rap for a reason. Maybe they did make people feel stupid. Maybe we did make people feel inadequate in their skills. And, another satirical, this isn't a movie, but it's Nick Burns, a computer guy on Saturday Night Live. You want to Google that sometime and watch the YouTube videos. That's what you're not supposed to do in IT when it comes to helping people. Anybody seen that? It's Jimmy Fallon did it years ago on Saturday Night Live, did a skit called Nick Burns, a computer guy. And he would come into an office, somebody had a problem, they go, well, I can't get into my computer because you say, move! And you can switch in and go, you're welcome, and then leave. That's what you don't want to do. But, in IT, and I've been in long enough, we were kind of like that at times, kind of the geeks in the cubicle that you didn't want to talk to because it made you feel stupid. And it's not that way anymore. A lot of IT firms, a lot of businesses now will send you to Dale Carnegie School of Sales, how to win friends and influence people, to get people skills. Because a lot of these firms now, when they hire any IT person, want some type of people skills, to be able to talk to people. Not talk down to people, but talk to people. And so we'll talk a lot about that this semester. But people are confused. They want to make it. We want to make them feel at ease to be able to ask any questions they have about anything, and not make them feel stupid, and be able to help them along the way. So here's a graph, a chart here of on the left axis there, the vertical high-low, that refers to the knowledge of and sophistication of the user when it pertains to technical skills. The bottom one is time frame. And then you'll notice the lines here, the bottom line going up to the sophistication of attacks here. This one basically has to do with password guessing starting in 1990, self-replicating code, password cracking, exploits, known vulnerabilities, disabling audits. And around 2000 roughly is when the script kiddie tools started coming in, or people started creating tools anyway, and replicating things. And you'll notice the required knowledge of the user actually went down, started going down tremendously. And now today, all the way up to present day, the tools with GUI basically refer to tools anyone can download, how to hack my dorm room buddy's PC. Google that. You get a whole plethora of tools to download to do just that. How to disable a web server, how to deface a web server, how to hack into a SQL database. Simple terms you type in can get tons of tools that hackers have created over the years. And these tools are called, with a nice GUI interface, script kiddies, where again the end user doesn't have to have much knowledge, just knows how to read and click a button, and maybe do a few pings or something like that to find out an IP address. And that's about it. One of the tools here, Backtrack, which has been morphed and changed over the years, and we'll use some tools like this semester. At the end of the semester, we go over about 4 or 5 Linux distros. This is a Linux distro that runs from a DVD on any PC or laptop. And then you have all these tools available to you. This one here they're pointing to is a Kismet analyzer, which is a wireless tool to crack passwords, which can crack web passwords of, say, 6, 7, 8 characters within 35, 40 seconds, roughly. If it's all characters, no special characters, just numbers or letters or both. And so these are all different types of tools available to anybody that can use Google and download a file and burn it to a DVD. And these are totally free. Now this tool here you're looking at, Backtrack, was developed from IT folks, for IT folks to use for what's called penetration testing, which we'll do this semester, which allows you to look at a network and see the weaknesses of the network, and then thereby be able to harden that weakness and make it impenetrable or close to penetrable as you can by using tools like this. So if they were to use an analyzer like Kismet on your Wi-Fi and you were to get that password cracked within 30 seconds, what's the solution for that? Well, make a stronger password. How do you do that? We'll find out what a strong password is, and then the list goes on and on from there. And so IT departments all the times are doing penetration testing throughout the building, throughout every software, every crevice and crack they have, to determine ways to block attacks from coming in. Because they will come. They might not, and they usually come when you least expect it, and when you think you're probably like Superman when it comes to your network, that nobody's going to do anything to your network or anything like that. And it happens to the best of companies. And then sometimes if it does the right attack, it can bring companies down. I've seen it, if they lose credit card information or company information, customer information, it can lose customers and get lawsuits, and you can't afford that. So I'll help you this semester to, when you go into IT, or if you're in IT already, to be able to report to your boss in a way, like if you need a piece of equipment you think you need to secure your network, ways that you can put a presentation together for folks that have the purse strings in your business to be able to get that money. Because you want to do that and to be able to have a strong network and feel good about yourself and be able to sleep at night. And so here's some difficulties, though, of defending the attacks we've looked at so far. The speed of attacks. Attackers can launch attacks against millions of computers within minutes. Greater sophistication of attacks. Attack tools vary the behavior, and the same attack appears differently each time. Simplicity of tools. Attackers no longer are limited to highly skilled attackers. Detect vulnerabilities more quickly. Attackers can discover security holes, and they do, and hardware, software, and tell the companies and say you have 30 days to fix this, or we're going to go public with it. We're going to start making some script kiddies. We'll release them out on the network, and we'll start telling people about it. And they do this all the time.
Blackmail, did you say, or is
A lot. Some of them are actually for informational only, like like a white hat hacker type of person. The white hat's the good guys that, because I think every hacker originates, for the most part that I've met, from a good place, educational place. Like they're inquisitive. They want to figure stuff out, right? Like a lot of guys, a lot of gals want to figure stuff out. And it's a misnomer too. It's just all guys. There's a lot of gals that are hackers too, and very skilled as well. But the original node of where it came from, the seed, is generally inquisitive. All right, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, whatever, 6th grade, 5th grade, whenever you got your first computer, how does this thing work? You take it apart, put it back together, right? Well, I built a couple PCs, now what do I do? How's the network work? Okay, take it apart, put it back together. All right, well, how do I get into this piece of the server across the street without them knowing it? Can I do it? And then they do it. And then, okay, and it keeps building from there, and then eventually they're hacking into the FBI database. And so that's how it happened with Kevin Mitnick. And so it was all started, though, with an inquisitive mind to learn more and to educate others, too, because a lot of hackers start out as well. They want to educate others. And so, but the guys today and gals today that don't want to do it maliciously do find stuff, and then they build a business upon telling, say, Microsoft, telling, say, Apple, telling, say, Google, hey, you guys have some software out here we tested. This is what we found. You have 30 days to fix it, or we will go public with it. And so a lot of these companies I just mentioned will pay companies like this to come in and find those holes and help them patch them, help them fix them, help them do stuff like that. And so they get paid good money to do it. But then there are those who do it maliciously, and they do it maliciously. They give them a date they know they can't meet when it comes to fixing it. And a lot of times when they tell them, they already know the fix, believe it or not, and that's scary. When the hackers already know the fix and the company doesn't know how to fix it, that made it. You say, how's that happen? Again, years and years of doing it. That's all they do, day and night. And they make money at it, whether legitimately or criminally, by companies hiring to take down other companies. That goes on as corporate espionage, social engineering, creating a malware for some company's website and putting it on their login page. When people log in, they get all their data. So the list goes on and on of what goes on all around the world. And it's not just all in, you hear maybe somewhere in Mumbai or in India these guys are doing. It's in the States. It's down the street. It's in Chicago. It's in your neighborhood. Normal people, that have normal jobs, that on the weekends and the night hack. That's what they do. And I personally, in IT, been an IT manager. I've been a CIO of companies, programmer. I've always been interested in hackers, why they do what they do, and I know a few of them. But I started out the same way, probably they did, just wanting to learn more, quest for knowledge. But the difference between them and myself is I don't want to do anything malicious. And so when I find something, report it to the company, let them know about it. This is how I found it. This is where I found it. This is why I found it, and give it to them with no deadlines or strings attached. And I've done it a few times over the years as a programmer, finding stuff that I knew was backdoors into software or something like that. And so every IT professional, though, you're going to find different things that you're interested in, right? You might already know what that is before coming into class, but you might find it while you're taking the class. You might realize, oh, wow, I'm really interested in this malware thing, or I'm really interested in how people get into Wi-Fi access points and why they do it and what the purpose of it, what's war driving, what's that all about? How can I secure my Wi-Fi at home? How can I secure my Wi-Fi at work? And so a whole list of things that hopefully by the end of the semester you'll get a passion for. And if you're like me, a lot of folks in IT have multiple passions. I was a graphic designer for years, so I still do that. I still like to play guitar. I was in band for years and still. So you'll find a lot of IT folks in multiple different fields. They like a lot of different things. And generally, if I was to go around the room, you guys probably have multiple different likes that you like to do, not just one certain thing. You like different things, and that's generally the mindset for IT because you're constantly wanting to learn more, right? You're never like, okay, I'm done. I've learned everything. I know it all. I don't know anything. I don't need to learn anything else. No, you're always learning. And what you find out in IT is the more you learn and the more you know and educate, the more you realize you don't know. So that's not a bad thing, though. That's a good thing. And so hopefully you'll grasp that this semester. So why is it important and why is it beneficial for network security to exist and who the attackers are? Why is that beneficial? Because information is at stake. The core of everything we're talking about is people's information, your information, my information. We hear about it every day, people's information being stolen. Ashley Madison, heard of that website lately? Right? I mean, it's destroyed how many guys' lives, and people are so upset about it. Well, why couldn't they hack into the IRS and do something damage? Why are they destroying all these people's lives? Again, exactly. Why? We don't know why, but they did it anyway. And do what now?
I think they did because they wanted something really true.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, how many people, including myself, I'd not heard of the site personally when I heard the release of this. I'd not heard of it, but I've asked people, how many of you guys heard of you knew the website exists and what it was for before it came out about the hack being? Anybody?
I've seen the ads.
I know you don't want to feel like, well, if I raised my hand, maybe I was kind of, But seriously, a lot of people in the U.S.
Not just on computers.
No. Where do they advertise that?
In magazines.
Oh, did? Yeah. I figured they did. They had to, because they're everywhere. I mean, as far as a lot of users from around the world. But that just shows you that no one's safe. No type of business is safe. And people's data was compromised. And in this case, their data was their emails, and that they were part of the Ashley Madison website, and maybe possibly destroying some marriages, I'm guessing, and keeping counselors and in the money for a while, I guess, and divorce lawyers in the money for a while. So you could be conspiracy to the nth degree and go, did the lawyers think of this hack? I don't know. They could have. I have no clue. I have no proof of that. Nobody does, but somebody's making money here, and so we can speculate all day long. But information is what was hacked, which was their username, their password, their email address in this case. But information has three things about it: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You want your information, I want my information for my workplace, my employer, to be confidential. I don't want them giving out my information. I don't want to give them out my... and I want the information I gave them to stay as is, unless I tell them to change it. That's integrity. If I say, I only want you to take out, I'm only, taking, zero allowances or something for my W-2. If they say, if I start noticing more money coming out of my check, well, what'd you do? Well, I changed it from what you said to, from 2 to 0 because, we just thought you'd like that. No, that's my information. That's my stuff. Availability, you want to make sure it's available. It's not given out to people, but also it's available at all times. Your medical record information, if you want it, it should be yours to get. So information is basically confidential, integrity, and availability. And this will stop on before I go to the Network Plus thing at the end here in a moment. Basically, this talks about how it's done or how network security works. You got the information in the middle, but you also have these things that are helping to secure it. It's hardware, software, communications. Like in this room, we use this room as an example. We've got expensive switches back there from Cisco. This door, when it's locked and alarmed, it's helping the physical infrastructure of this room to be secure. But beyond that, the switches themselves, when students are learning how to set them up, they're learning how to, with software and hardware, set up roles on switches and routers to secure them. But they're also learning with communications how to talk to each other as well when it comes to communicating rules, communicating when things are done, when rules are updated, where they're documented at, how do you get that documentation. Because if I'm the guy updating stuff and I'm on vacation for 2 weeks and something happens and there's no documentation, guess what? You're done. You gotta call me. I'm done with vacation. I have to remote in and fix it. So that's the importance of communication, documentation. So the next circle here, you got physical security, which would be the door, the alarm. Then personal security, people making sure that they don't give out the passwords. I don't give my kiosk key, my proximity card to other people to just use. And then procedures would be when somebody quits or somebody gets fired, what's the procedures for that person to be, number one, taken out of the network or locked down or their network account frozen to where they can't log in. When is that done? Is that done immediately? Is that done in a week, 2 weeks? When is that done? And so all these things play into things becoming safe. Now I can share horror stories, which you'll hear a few. I'll end with one. It was a business I worked for that I was in security at the time, and they would have cameras everywhere throughout the building, right, to just watch people. Generally the ones that we catch people stealing stuff would be, I mean, stuff being, I don't know, a mouse or a keyboard or a hard drive or a laptop or whatever. We would catch them on these elevators that were leaving and then verify that this person should or should not have taken this piece of equipment out. If they shouldn't have, and it was verified that, yeah, it was taken, we would call them into the office with the video already there. We already had it ready, and the supervisor was in the same room, or manager, and say, okay, did you, just point blank, just ask them, did you take anything that you need to tell us about? And if they honestly said, yeah, I did, they would get reprimanded, get written up, and, slap on the hand and bring the device back as long as it was in the same shape as it was. But if they lied, they were immediately not only fired, but a lot of times were prosecuted for that. And so, and these were normal people that it was kind of heart-wrenching at times, because some of these people were like grandpas. They were like, not just kids. They were, responsible people, you think, that were taking something home because they thought they could get away with it. And they were taking with them a lot of times things home that had information in it about other people. And that was what really the dangerous part was for us, not as much the equipment as the information that equipment had. And if it got in the wrong hands, could do some damage. Now I want to forward fast, if I could, to the thing about Network Security Plus. Security Plus, where are you at? All right, here we go. So CompTIA certification, it's a 2008 edition. Is up actually now to, I believe, 2014 is what we have. It's a internationally recognized validation for foundational level security skills and knowledge. It's used by organizations and security professionals around the world. The skills and knowledge measured by Security Plus exams are derived from industry-wide job task analysis, and 6 things are covered, 6 regions or domains they call are covered in the Security Plus exam. System security, network infrastructure, access control, dealing with like passwords and authentication, assessments and audits, dealing with auditing and infrastructure like an IT department and all the computers, cryptography, and organizational security. It covers these different areas. There is study guides for it that I can give you and help you get started. And I would say take the study guide and the CD, and it has like an online resource as well. But the study guide and the test resource, when you get up to testing at like 90, 95 percentile in your testing, you're ready for the test. And what's great about CompTIA is, here on campus anyway, you get up to 2 to 3 tries on the test, which is awesome to get. And the nice thing about this certification is it's a one-time certification. You can re-up if you want to, but you don't have to each year. Some of these certifications you have to like re-up each year and pay out each year. This one you don't. Now they recommend every 5 years doing it, which I do. I keep it up every 5 years, but you don't have to. And so it's a great middle road certification. It's not Cisco or Microsoft. And it's one. If I was to recommend any certification for you guys as far as security certification, it's this one, because say you're not going to take Cisco here, but you want to learn it someday, I would recommend taking it here, but say you didn't want to do it, you didn't have the money to do it, whatever, you get the Network Plus certification, Security Plus certification, you get hired by a company, and they'll help you get that Cisco certification. Because what this shows companies is, that you're willing to certify yourself in that area that you're going into. And it's not as expensive as a Microsoft, not as expensive as Cisco, but the content's all the same as far as what each one of them covers. Cisco's going to cover things about Cisco and Cisco hardware. Microsoft's going to cover things about Microsoft and Microsoft hardware. This one just kind of uses a middle ground technology that both use, Microsoft and Cisco. So it's a good way to get your foot in the door, and you don't have to really take any classes here to complete it. It's just a test you have to take, study guides, all that good stuff. And I would recommend it. So if you're interested, you can shoot me an email, and I'll get you all set up. And we are going to talk a little bit more about it in the tech scope next Tuesday. Stephanie will, from 3:30 to 3:45. And guess what? We're done for the night. So next Tuesday we do have class. We're going to talk about Chapter 2 next Tuesday. Next Thursday is our first lab on NT Reset. So like some of you brought tonight, bring your 3-ring binder, because you will have a multi-page handout and some software I'll give you for the NT Reset lab. But the movies I told you about, Takedown and what was the other one? Pirates of Silicon Valley. Those are awesome movies. If you want to watch one of the two this weekend, definitely recommend it. So, great. You guys have a great weekend. Come see me if you have any questions. And I'll email